So you must have been ridiculously good at Tetris.
I love Tetris. Yes, I do. So as far as like learning goes, I mean, that was probably the best, was learning that you just go for it.
I am here with Kristin Bertilson of Queen Bee Organizing.
Yes, hi.
And hello everybody. She runs an organizing business out of Corvallis, Oregon.
Correct.
And you've been doing it for probably 6 years or so, or
5.5.
5.5 as a business.
Yes.
I saw on your website that you've been organizing ever since you were a little kid, more or less. It's just been in you.
Yes, national all the time. My parents will tell story after story of teachers trying to hold me back when I was little because I would organize their kids' toy area faster than they could do it as an adult. And so could I not move on next year so I could keep organizing for the teachers.
They wanted to hold you back because you were the best helper ever.
I was the best helper ever. It's my favorite thing to do.
When did you decide to turn it into a business?
April of 2010.
Was there any specific thing that happened at that?
I told my father and my mother that I wanted to kind of do something different. I said, I just sort of want to do something that's my own. And my parents came up with this awesome idea of being a professional organizer. And so I said, okay, I'll think about it. That seems like a big deal, and only famous people do that, and they're all on TV. And I'm not sure people actually have a career out of that. And lo and behold, there's the National Association of Professional Organizers. And about a week after my parents came up with the idea of me being an organizer, they actually had a conference. At which point my parents said, we're buying your plane ticket, you're going to this conference, we think this is a great fit. I came back and got up my courage to quit both my jobs and go for it. I had $2,000 as my startup money.
Oh, that's really
low. Yeah.
How long did it take you before you realized this is a business? This is real. This is going to happen.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, really? So
the day that I actually, I was with my friend up in Salem, and I told her, I gave my notice to both my jobs today, and she goes, "You did?" And I said, "Yeah, if I'm going to do it, I really need to just get out there and do it. I need to market, and I need, I see that you have to treat it like a business. I can't just do it part-time." And so that same day I ended up with 2 phone calls. One was out of a Craigslist ad I put, and one was out of the Movers and Shakers column from the GT.
Okay.
And the next week I had 2 jobs. A couple weeks later I had 4 more jobs, and then about a month later I had like 10 jobs.
You said earlier about people before things, and
no, it's a concept that I hope that I've always had. But I think as you go through the business, you learn more and more about it. I deal with all sorts of clients, so not just estate sales, but we do, and not just closets or office. We actually work with extreme hoarding cases too. One of the constants is, people ask, do people really change? Does it? And I always say, if they can find something else they love in life besides stuff, then they will.
You talked about hoarding, extreme hoarders, and you were involved in the TLC show Hoarders, right?
Yes.
And that was back in 2011?
I've been on 3 of them.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So you're one of those famous people who are on TV.
Just a little small famous person.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But I guess they're doing reruns because they're getting ramped up, and so I've had a lot of emails and texts from people that know me. They're like, "I saw you last night on TV again." I'm like, "Oh, good."
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you find that the emotional side of dealing with stuff is harder than dealing with the stuff itself?
Dealing with the emotional part, yeah, that's where it comes hard because it's, a lifetime of memories.
Did you realize when you started that it was going to be, a lot of it would be psychology and dealing with the emotions that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've always liked that part.
Okay, so it's just basically you're helping people to move on from an inanimate set of objects. When you think about doing the organizing in relation to a lot of the TV shows, and they're, as far as I can tell, they're almost exclusively deal with people's houses and apartments and things like that, and they rarely deal with offices or businesses. And so I'm assuming that when you go into a business, they can be just as horribly disorganized as they can in a house.
But if you're in a business where it's super busy all the time and you don't have time to solve the problems, and you don't have the tools necessarily that you were taught how to do it, then you're just going forward with no way to look and say, okay, how do I solve this? People always feel like they should be ashamed of us coming in, why couldn't they do this themselves? Well, if no one taught you how to organize, no one taught you how to do this, why would you even know?
A lot of times people grow into a business to a point where they're so busy that they kind of lost sight of the way that they did business.
Or it doesn't work anymore for them, right? I mean, you grow out of the methods that you used to know, and you need someone to come in and kind of see it from the outside and say, you know what, let's just tweak this a little bit, and all of a sudden you have a full functioning, back to, speed office that you can put things away in.
Do you see things as far as like their dimensions and where they fit? Or?
So like when I walk in a space, I can actually physically move the furniture in my brain and make them fit the way they should fit before we actually do it.
So you must have been ridiculously good at Tetris.
I love Tetris. Yes, I do. And I want to know like the next 5 pieces in a row because I plan that far ahead. I don't.
Is it difficult to find good employees?
We have a lot of really good estate sale employees. I think it's been harder to find organizing because it's really demanding. I mean, you're dealing with someone else's space and emotions and psychological
People may not
needs, and it's physical, it's mentally taxing. You need to have a good attitude.
And you're running a business on top of it.
Now, if someone who's watching this wants to be an organizer, get insurance. That's an organizing insurance, and that's really important, and that's what most people will skip.
What does organizing insurance do?
Well, it protects. So I have an NAPO shirt, which is specifically for organizers. Because you don't need insurance as an organizer, a lot of people will skip it.
Okay.
Because they don't want to fund their business. And I think that's when I go back to saying I treat my business like a business. It really is a business. It's not something that's like, oh, let me just try it. Let me see what happens. I'm a certified professional organizer. I'm the only one in the Willamette Valley. The only one south of Portland,
really?
I think for anyone that's really looking to start an organizing business, just, make sure you know what you're getting into. Know that it's going to cost money to make money.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've hired 2 business consultants over the course of the last 6 years, each one for different things. I'm glad I hired both of them. One was for marketing when I first started, and then the other one was how to grow beyond a plateau of where I was at. So there's lots of things you can do to be, top notch at what you're doing.
Right. You ever go into a place and you're like, all right, you know what, dynamite it. Is it just, there is.
When you walk in through and you have a 1-foot pathway through a house and stuff's floor to ceiling, and you can't see some of the bedrooms, you're like, how are we ever going to get there? But then you just start and you get there and
you chip away at the mountain.
Even with some of our estate sales, I mean, they're huge. You walk in and there's just stuff everywhere.
Is this a big estate sale town? I mean, do people flock to them?
They love them here. We have a great following. We have an estate sale email list that has over 2,200 people on it.
Wow.
Yeah. Estate sales now because we do so many of them.
Well, I mean, that's your face, to most of
the public, right? Because we're out there.
Yeah, I mean, I started seeing your signs probably about 2 years ago. You see 1 or 2 here, but now they're much more frequent, which is obviously a good sign. We
didn't have estate sales the last 2 weekends, and we actually, I don't know if you're on our email list, but we had to send out the email saying, we're still in business, it's just a couple weeks off, we'll be okay, because we have so many awesome followers that we were getting like 20 to 40 emails a week the last 2 weeks saying, or phone calls, where are your sales? I haven't got your email. Did I get dropped from the email list? Did you go out of business? Did something happen? Are you okay? I mean, like, people would just be like, ask us if we were okay just because we didn't have a sale for 2 weeks because we've been having so many in a row. I'm like, it's just 2 weekends. It's okay. We're just taking some time off.
Well, they miss you.
I know, which is great, and we miss them, so we're starting back up.
And I just wanted to thank Kristin Bertilson from Queen Bee Organizing for being my interviewee today.
Well, thank you
very much.
Thank you very much. It was great.
Yeah.
Fun.
If TLC came to you and wanted to make you a reality show, would you?
Yeah, the girls would love us to be reality shows.